As you can see in this segment, I have started making my ties. Maybe a whole heck of a lot of them. I cut each and every one by hand. I actually did that on purpose. I could do it a lot faster if I were to use a cutoff or a chop saw or something along those lines, or even a table saw. But I wanted the edges a little rougher to give that little more rustic look. Plus, you can't get a look that's handmade unless you actually hand make something. Now, you probably noticed I am using untreated lumber, just cheapest cuts of wood of the size I wanted that were available. Now, you might be wondering, well, if railroad ties are in contact with moisture and ground all the time, why would you use untreated instead of pressure treated wood? Well, hold on just a second. Had to get some more here. Well, the reason being is pressure treated wood, chemicals used actually can have an adverse effect to metals. So bolting that nice aluminum track down to pressure treated wooden ties, that aluminum track is not going to be lasting too long. It's going to start to deteriorate. Likewise, only not as much so with steel and of course other metals. For some reason they all react with the chemicals used in pressure treated. I believe I read somewhere that there's a lot of copper used in treated lumber. So what I decided to do is, well, besides the fact also that untreated was like 6 times cheaper, I don't mind replacing a tie here and there if one starts to get rotten, especially considering that the tracks that I have actually are all welded together using steel tie, thin steel ties, which are just going to bolt over these more for aesthetics than actual functionality in my case. Though there is some functionality as well, I guess, because I'm going to be putting this in my lawn. A little bit more stability, but the steel ties do the actual work of keeping everything together. Now, what I'm doing is I am using the untreated. I cut them all the size by hand. And I'm using a weatherproofing deck stain. I'm staining each one. I don't know how well you can see that. This is what I'm using. It's an oil alkyd stain for siding, decks, and fences. Semi-transparent. It says natural wood protectant, satisfaction guaranteed. Everybody likes satisfaction guaranteed. This color is, which one? Redwood. And I don't know how well you can see it in the video here, but so far I'm extremely pleased with how my artificial redwood is turning out. In fact, it's giving just the rustic color that I want, and due to the amount that, brushing on that varies going into the wood, it gives more of a dithered or varied look. I actually really like that look. Once again, I think it just adds more character to the wood and the overall look, especially once I add the steel rails to it. So, for the most part, I got some nice angle iron here. I got pretty much a unlimited supply of angle iron available to me for pretty much free, since all the motorcycle crates for all the bikes that we sell at our shop come in, what else? Steel, angle iron crates. So what I'm going to do is laying all flat on here. I do one side, let it dry for a few hours. I flip it over, do the other side, and then after I do that, then as you can see here, I stack them down side next together. I do one edge, flip it over, to the other edge. I've been experimenting doing the bottoms because where the cuts are, it's really porous. Where the longer pieces were. I've tried brushing it on. That seems to soak in pretty good, but extraordinarily time consuming. So I'm thinking of using something like a really absorbent dish sponge, keeping a nice little pool of the stain around it, in like a bucket or a bowl, styrofoam bowl or something, and then just pressing down gently in each one, because then they'll just get absorbed and coat the end quite nicely. It's just an idea, not that far yet. But what you see on well, it's a cardboard box, I guess. What you see on this cardboard box, all these, that's about a quarter of all the ties. Hold on just a second, let me grab my notepad. Okay, according to my handy dandy notepad here, from my calculations while sitting on the morning porcelain throne, well, my straightaway pieces, there's 13 ties per straight piece of track, and I have 26 straight tracks, so that would be 338 ties. And I can get, and I got 16 curved sections at 15 ties per curved section, which would be 249 ties, for a grand total of 578 ties. So 578 ties, and then I'm going to need 1,156 deck screws for each tie, as there's 2 screws to hold each tie to the metal tie on the rail. And I can get 9 ties per board, so it means I needed a total of 65 boards. And I have done a total right now of 25 boards, leaving 40 more boards to cut. So I guess I did about a third. Cut about a third by hand so far, which is fine. Another reason I did it by hand was I do a lot of this work in my laundry room while the kids are sleeping at night, and I just can't go out and leave them unattended. Even though they're sleeping, I can't just go outside and leave them unattended. So I'm doing this at night. I can cut by hand, and it's not very noisy, so I can do that at night inside the house. Definitely could not be using that, doing some sort of power saw. So, staining these are actually pretty straightforward. Just get a cheap toss-away paintbrush. Can't get cheaper than $4 for $1 at the dollar store. Now, ironically, my dollar store one has outlasted all my good brushes. I've been using this one for about 7 years now, rather extensively. Painted a few trailers with it. Trailers meaning tow behind trailers for putting junk in a car. It soaks in real nice. You really don't need too much. Got this gallon here. This gallon of stain should last all the ties. And then my back porch is about 6 feet off the ground, and my train's going to be going underneath the back porch. I'm going to actually build a little shed that the train will actually drive through, so I can park it at night. And I'm going to stain that whole shed with this stain too. And being it's a off-the-shelf stain, not one that you have to have custom tinted in the paint department, if I do happen to run out, I can just go pick up another can, and it should be close enough match. It's not going to be like a night and day color difference. See how nice that goes in? I don't need very much, just a tiny little bit. Now, remember, this is an oil-based stain if you do decide to go this route. So whatever you get it on, it's going to be waterproofed, as my concrete stationary tub in my laundry room has found out, which the bottom of that seems to have gotten waterproof. Just water just kind of beads off to the side. So, let's see what else can I talk about while I'm at this. The boards, each tie is 10 inches long, which is just a hair longer than the metal ties. I wanted it sticking out just a bit. So if you stub your toe, if you're out in the yard barefoot, you'd be better off stubbing it on a wood tie than a nice sharp metal tie. Although I am considering going through with an air grinder, die grinder, and just kind of rounding those all off in the yard once I got it all installed and out there. Not too concerned. It's December 20th right now, so it was the 19th. Could be the 19th. Can't remember. Don't care. So it's going to be a while before I actually get this into my yard. And I guess rule of thumb, if you go with something like Groovy Track, you're going to be looking at like 3 ties per foot with Groovy Track. Groovy Track means you just slice a groove for the track to fit into. You press it in, and then you use bolts or screws to keep the track from coming out, or coming out of the tie. And you need a lot of ties to help keep that track nice and stable. Once again, my track is using welded on metal ties. I went with steel track, very low cost. It's produced by a company called Lawn Tracks out of, I believe it was Cleveland, Ohio. They do an excellent job. Very, very happy with my tracks. See, that wasn't difficult at all. If you got kids, make the kids do it. But anyways, yeah, very happy with the tracks. They have it built in record time. They also built a flat car for me. I wanted something just to get started off with. I'm sure you guys have all seen my other videos that I am building a mine car. That's done minus the wheels. Now I am sand casting my own wheels for those. Unfortunately, that's a time-consuming process. I need time where I can just sand cast without being bothered by anybody, which has been the big problem so far. I've been ready to sand cast for a few weeks. I just have been unable to sand cast. Because it takes time to melt the aluminum. Once I do that, I will have wheels for my minecart, and that will be done. Piece of cake. And it's going to look kind of neat too. And put some of the stain on there, make it that more rustic look. I used all old used wood for my minecart from an old pool deck that's been weathered for about 20 years. That was pressure treated, but I'm sure most of that 20 years is pretty much worn off, since it is starting to rot in some places. No big deal. For what I'm using it for, it will be just fine. And I guess for this moment, I guess this video is going to be long enough. I'm recording it with a nice app called Better Camcorder, or Better Cam. You can find it in the Apple App Store. This application records video at up to 50 megabits per second, which is twice what the stock iPhone bitrate records at. And I've been playing around. I've been doing some videos for them to use for their trying to sell the app, advertising. When I see a good app, I try to help that developer promote it. They can continue to make a nice product that I can use, and everybody's happy. So, 50 megabits per second. This video is twice the file size, and I'm probably going to end up going over the YouTube uploads file size limit if I don't cut this soon. So, anyways, here we go. A few other ones drying over there. I'm running out of space, and that's what I have cut already. What it's left for me to stain. And yes, I do have a flat car on railroad tracks in my downstairs living room. It's my fireplace, pumping out some nice heat. Does anybody need LED bulbs? Got like 48 left. Dimmable. Got a good deal. So there we go. Have a good evening.